Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm really excited to discuss the 270 Weatherby Magnum. So in this video, we're going to do a deep dive into its history, its ballistics, and how it compares to the competition, and why I think it's a forgotten powerhouse cartridge. Hope you enjoy the video. Let's talk some history. Did you guys know that the 270 Weatherby Magnum was Roy's first Weatherby Magnum? Now, he did create a Wildcat, the 220 Rocket, but in 1943, the first cartridge that was named after him was the 270 Weatherby Magnum. And I assume he did the 270 caliber first was because of the popularity of the 270 Winchester. So of course the 270 Weatherby's parent case is the 300 H&H, or if you want to think of it, the 375 H&H. Basically, it's one of those H&H cartridges, shortened to about the same length as a 270 Winchester, and obviously neck down to 270. And of course, it has the double radius shoulder. So the case length is just a tad bit longer than a 270 Winchester. I really think Roy was inspired by the 270 Winchester, so he wanted to have a cartridge that was really similar to the 270, just a lot wider. So it was 2.549, which the 270 Winchester is 2.540. And then cartridge overall length, funny enough, is a little bit shorter than the 270 Winchester. This one's 3.295. Now looking at the cases, on the left, I apologize, I don't actually have a 270 Weatherby, but I have the next best thing, the 257 Weatherby. It's basically identical other than the neck size. But as you can see, the 270 Weatherby is a tad bit longer. It's obviously has a bit more case capacity because it is wider, but they're almost the exact same length. Let's just look at the powder capacity for the 270 Weatherby compared to the 270 Winchester. What's nice is Nosler gives you the grains and water capacity in their reloading manual, and with a 130 grain, it has 81.7 grains of water capacity. And the 270 Winchester with a 130 grain has 64.6 grains of water capacity. So it's a little over 17 more grains of capacity in the 270 Weatherby. So what kind of velocities are you going to get? Let's find out. Now the most popular bullet for a 270 cartridge in 270 Winchester and 270 Weatherby is the 130 grain, and for good reason. It has a decent BC and you're pushing the bullet pretty darn fast. And in the 270 Weatherby, you're pushing it extremely fast. So max velocity, you're seeing almost 3,500 feet per second. So max velocity about 3476. That's really fast. That's at least 300 feet per second faster than a 270 Winchester. And then the 140 grain, you're almost getting 3,300 feet per second. And the bullet I want to look at ballistics today with is a 150 grain AccuBond. You're pushing at 3,200 feet per second. Now again, the 270 Winchester on average, you're going to be able to push that same bullet about 29. So overall, you're seeing about a 300 feet per second advantage for the 270 Weatherby. For a long time, it was really just the 270 Weatherby and the 270 Winchester as 277 cartridges that you could get. Then Winchester introduced their short mag, and the Weatherby is still a little bit quicker than the short mag. And for 77 years, the 270 Weatherby held the crown for the fastest 270 cartridge. But that changed in 2020 when Nosler introduced their Screamer, the 27 Nosler, which is basically a 28 Nosler neck down to 270. Let's just look at the awesome ballistics of the 270 Weatherby. So with a 150 grain AccuBond with a BC of 0.500 and a muzzle velocity of 3,200 feet per second, your muzzle energy is 3,400 foot-pounds. Put that into perspective, it's more than a 7mm Rem mag. Then out to, your typical hunting distances. Bullet's still going 2,454 feet per second, and check out that energy, 2,000 foot-pounds of energy. Also, the drop on this cartridge, it's a darn flat cartridge, okay? And you don't hit 1,500 foot-pounds of energy until 600 yards and 62.8 inches of drop. This is a powerhouse. So how does it compare to the competition with the 270 Weatherby? How much faster is it than the other cartridges, or how much slower is it than a 227 Nosler? Let's find out. So we're all going to use the same 150 grain AccuBond bullet, and in the 270 Winchester, that's going 2,900 feet per second, and the energy at 400 yards, 1,612 foot-pounds. Not bad. Next up, we have one of the newer ones. In fact, I think it's the newest, the 6.8 Western. And I know you guys are going to flame me in the comments about using a lighter bullet in a 6.8 Western. That's not what it's made for, but I just wanted to use the same bullet. And this is kind of a guess. I'm going to guess you can get 3,100 feet per second with this bullet. Probably a little more, who knows. Energy at 400 yards, 1,871 foot-pounds. Then we get to the 270 WSM, which is the parent case to the 6.8 Western. And with that same bullet, it's going 3,150 feet per second. I do have data on that one. And you're probably wondering, why is the 270 WSM faster than the 6.8? Well, the WSM has a little bit more powder capacity. And then energy at 400 yards is 1,938 foot-pounds. On to the 270 Weatherby. We've already looked at this. It's going 3,200 feet per second, 2,000 foot-pounds of energy at 400 yards. And then finally, the real fast one, 27 Nosler. It's going 3,400 feet per second. Energy is almost 300 foot-pounds more than the Weatherby. So if you just want a crazy cartridge, go for the 27 Nosler. In the beginning of my video, I had mentioned that the 270 Weatherby Magnum was a forgotten powerhouse. Well, we know it is fast. Why is it forgotten? Well, I have two reasons why I believe the 270 Weatherby isn't as popular as it probably should be. Number one, it's in a niche caliber. Yes, the 270 caliber is pretty niche. You got to think about it. There's only like 4 or 5 cartridges in 270. I might be off by a few, but anyway, there's hardly any. And the only one that's really had a market success is this guy, the 270 Winchester, the original. The next reason why I think the 270 Weatherby really struggles for sales is it's only offered in a Mark V and Mark V rifles. As nice as they are, they're a bit pricey. And then if you're not a reloader, the ammo is extremely expensive as well. And so with it being in a niche caliber that's dominated by the 270 Winchester and being in a very expensive rifle with very expensive ammo, yeah, I can see why this is kind of a forgotten caliber. Now, if I were ever to get a 270 Weatherby, I would load it up with these bullets, the Barnes LRX. Barnes makes a 129 grain LRX with a relatively high BC for how small the bullet is. And when you can push that bullet mid 3,400 feet per second, when you sighted it at 100 yards, there's only 17 inches of drop. That's ridiculously flat. In fact, did I mention this is one of the flattest cartridges in the world? Yep, the 270 Weatherby is up there as one of the flattest. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.